Hello, everyone. Welcome to Uila's Lightning Chat Sessions. I'm Dilip Advani, and joining me today is Art Piwcio, who is the Director for Infrastructure and Application Development from Security Central. And today he will be talking to us about his organization's monitoring practices for the infrastructure and the applications that are running on it. Welcome, Art.
Hi, Dilip. How are you today?
Great to talk to you today.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Art, can you tell us more about the IT organization in general at Security Central and the group you work for within the organization, and then who's part of your team as well?
Sure. I got an excellent group of 4 highly skilled people, different skills ranging from development to networking to security, virtualization. We pretty much run the gamut. We're all responsible for keeping that central station up and running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Once a month, we may get a minute or so to to do some patches and so on and so forth. But that's about the only downtime we're allowed. So we maintain all the internal applications in use by various departments, along with now our magical remote workers. So keeping track of all that stuff, it can be a bit hairy. Yep.
Sure. And then can you tell us more about the business critical applications? I know you mentioned that, right? That's used in the organization. And then who are those customers for the applications? And then this could include both internal as well as external applications for your users.
Yeah, we are an alarm signal handling monitoring center. So we basically handle alarms for anything from your house to a business to environmental alarms like chicken farms. It gets too hot, it gets too cold, up to medical dependents and wearables, right? If it can send a signal to us, we can monitor it. We are protecting, roughly 350,000 people or so around the US and in Canada. And they rely on us being up 100% of the time. Not just for monitoring alarms, but the applications that allow them to make changes to the accounts where a phone number changes or a new person needs to be added on to be contacted, etc. So it's not just that major critical application, but little side applications that allow our customers to make changes to those accounts. And obviously it's critical for that to be up 100% of the time, because if it's down, then it could mean a loss of the signal, which could lead to a loss of life. So it's absolutely imperative that it is up.
Yeah, so again, yeah, I know you mentioned that it's mission critical, right? Not only for your organization, but also for all of your customers, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so what are some of the challenges you faced with these applications, right? And then what's the big impact? I know you mentioned that these issues could be life-threatening for your customers, but can you give more details about that impact as well?
Well, the challenges are always trying to keep it running at the very top level they can, right? We're always adding new customers. So the more customers you add, the more signals come in, the more the network gets saturated, the more CPU, RAM, memory, disk drive, right? Everything is being accessed more. So the challenge is to kind of keep it performant along with that growth. That's the hard part, because you just never know. You know, you bring on a customer who has 16,000 other customers, and that's a big jump, right? That's a big jump for the network. It's a big jump for signaling. It's a big jump for the central station. So if they come on board and everything slows down, that's a problem, right? Because now they can't respond in time to the alarms because they're waiting. And we never, ever want that central station waiting for anything. So yeah, the big challenge is keeping that performance top notch.
Okay. And then in the past, right, how did you solve those challenges?
Well, it was tricky. We had many different applications. This one would monitor the CPU and the RAM and the disk, and this one would monitor the network, and this one was parsing logs. So when you didn't have that total window of visibility, so you would always get a call, hey, the application seems to be running a bit slow. I'm getting the little spinning bar when I click on something. So we're not able to handle the alarms as fast as we should. At that point, you go and you check the server. How's the CPU? How's the RAM? What's going on with the disk? What's going on with the network? Let's check the logs. Is something else affecting it? You go on this wild hunt for what could be the cause. So you gather all this information and you try and correlate everything, and you go, okay, somebody was running a very large report that they shouldn't have, right? So sure. It could take hours to come to that conclusion, though, because we had to dig through so many different things. With Uila, I look at the board. I have a big screen up in my office, and it's right there. I'm looking at the CPU. I'm looking at the network. I'm looking at the memory. I'm looking at the disk. And it shows me right there. Is it green? Is it yellow? Is it red? Red is, we don't like red. We do not like red. So we can see things, if it's going from green to yellow, we know, okay, something is happening because it should always be green, right? And therefore we can take proactive steps to mitigate that now. Whereas before we just had to wait for that magical call. Hey, it's running slow. So that single point of visibility is crucial. Absolutely.
Okay. So that was one of the critical things you were looking for in a monitoring solution, right? And that's what maybe you can tell us more about what made the Uila solution stand out as compared to some of the others you may have researched.
There's a lot of applications out there, as we all know, right? The one thing about Uila is that there were no agents to install. I didn't have to go to every machine. I didn't have to set up an account to allow it to access this or that. It was an install, and it started working in minutes. The benefit of that is I didn't have to spend the man hours getting it up and running, right? It was almost instantaneous, which obviously saves time, right? Time is money. With this, we have full visibility. If something turns yellow and you go to it, you can see what is causing that yellow, and you can dig into that particular server or the host, whatever that case may be, and get a root cause and see everything that's going on, not just your CPU, your RAM, your disk, but if it's a SQL server, you can see queries that are running out. What's the response? What's the query that's being run that's slow, et cetera. So we don't have to go hunting anymore. It's all right in front of us, and we can get to it before it becomes red and resolve it, or even set that baseline so we expect this, and therefore we're not getting alerts that we don't need to be alerted on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which saves time, which obviously saves money.
Sure. And then do you at times get like random calls from customers saying that they had issues in the past, and then how would you use Uila in that type of a situation?
Yeah, every once in a while, because obviously we're not in the office 24/7, right? That's impossible. We have Saturday and Sunday off. So if a customer calls us on a weekend, we can always use Uila to go, okay, around what time? So we can go back to that time, that date, pull out that time frame, go through everything that was going on in that time frame and say, okay, you're saying you weren't able to reach it, but I'm showing, all of this was good. All of it was green. There were no issues on our side. Let's dig a little bit further and backtrack to all the way out to the internet, right? So with Uila, we can do that. We can go from the server all the way back out and say, we didn't have any issues, or, oh, I see the switch blipped, right? And it dropped the packet, and that's why you were having issues. Or this interface was overloaded for a runaway alarm or something of that nature, which caused issues on your end. So not only is it real-time visibility when we're in the office, but we also have that ability to go back, because they don't always call us exactly when it happens, right? It could have been a week ago and they just happened to be talking to somebody. Oh yeah, last Saturday I had a blah, Yeah. This allows us to go back and see what that blah was. And sometimes it's on our end, sometimes it's on their end. We had one customer who was saying, we're dropping packets, our panels are disconnected, they're going into alarm. Come to find out, they were routing it wrong on their side, so it was never even reaching us. And with Uila, we were able to go to the port they were connected to at the switch and say, look, this is what's happening. See, you're flowing, and boom, it drops off. We stopped receiving data from you. And that allowed them to go back and realize that they had an issue with one of their ISPs and routing to us correctly, which saves so much time because we would have never seen it before. Yeah. We would have seen, hey, the switch is up, the port is open, it's good. And Uila allowed us to do that. And we've had to utilize that many times, and it's a godsend. Okay. We absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's great to know. I think my last question to you is can you tell us something more about the results you've seen since you've implemented Uila, right? What business processes has it enhanced? I know you touched on lightly about how it's helped reduce the time to resolve challenges, but maybe you can talk more about it, right? For your business critical application, specifically, how has it benefited you as an individual, as well as your team, as well as your organization?
So again, it comes down to that performance, right? When we're digging in and we see our primary automation platform server starting to turn yellow or something, right? We click on that. We can see, okay, CPU ready is high, right? So therefore we can go and we can find, okay, what host is it on? What other machines are on there? Should we move it to a different host, right? Should we move something else to a different host? Is something else going on? And we can track all of that through Uila just by going into the stats browser, right? Hey, what's going on with the network? What's going on with the CPU? What's going on with the memory, the disk? And the ability to do that from a single interface without having, okay, let's check the server over here, let's check the switch over here, let's check the hosts over here. That single interface and being able to follow that path and building out that application map. So in the future, you're like, okay, this machine talks to that machine. Look, that is slow right there. Why is that slow? You click on it. Okay, TCP is having an issue. Why is it having an issue? Drill in, get the root cause. Okay, the cause is the gateway, right? The gateway isn't responding. What's going on with the gateway, right? That kind of information saves us so much as far as the analysis part goes. Of we don't have to dig through 47 applications and logs and firewall logs and so on and so forth. It's all right there in front of us. And really, the biggest thing that saves us is time to resolution. That is huge in our industry, where literally lives could be on the line, right? It is absolutely critical that we can't go, oh, it's slow, that's okay, I'll look at it Monday. That doesn't work. That doesn't work in our industry. It has to be now, right? Whether it be 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, it has to be now. And with Uila, we just have that visibility that saves us so much time. And the dashboard, it's a thing of beauty, right? It is, you see green, you're good. Yellow, you better look at something. Red, you're in trouble. So it allows you to get a jump, because yellow means it's starting to head south, right? So it allows you to get ahead of it. So you may not even get that call, right? Because you're already looking at it. You're already presumably resolving the issue before it gets to the red point and people are picking up the phone. So I can't remember.
In your industry, I think doing stuff proactively is super critical, right? It's better to do it proactively than to wait for something to go wrong, right?
Yes, wait for that phone call. Yeah, yes, because once that phone call comes, more are coming right after it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. This is great, right? Thanks, Art, for your time today and then sharing these valuable insights. I'm very confident people will, or the audience here will find this very helpful and insightful. So again, thanks a lot. Stay safe, and thanks for keeping everybody else safe, right? Uh,
You're
so
welcome.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, everyone, and for joining us today. And goodbye.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.